Hey guys, and welcome to a Hoops Lounge hangout here, joined by Mr. Michael Grumberg. My name's Phil Boileau. Today we're going to cover the Toronto Raptors' big blockbuster deal that went down. Rudy Gay being sent to the Sacramento Kings, along with Aaron Gray, Quincy Acy for John Salmons, Grievous Vasquez, Patrick Patterson, and Chuck Hayes. Mike, what were your first thoughts when this trade went down?
Well, at first I scratched my head. I didn't really understand it from Toronto's perspective, but then I started thinking about it, realizing that every player they got back can be moved again before the trade deadline, that nobody's really burning up phone lines calling for Rudy Gay's 39% shooting, and that it makes a lot of salary sense for Toronto going forward. A little bit further on, I kept going and said, you know what, I've always liked Patrick Patterson. He can spread the court at that 4. He's a stretch 4 next to Jonas Valanciunas. That seems like it could actually be a good fit going forward. As well, we don't know what's going to happen with Kyle Lowry, so you got Grievous Vasquez. Grievous Vasquez is really a pass-first point guard who's capable and he's got great size, so he could stay around. And then you still have Chuck Hayes in there. Now, I see him as almost a duplication with Amir Johnson.
Really?
Well, in the sense that they're both no-nonsense, hard-working kind of players.
One has an offensive game. And
Which one?
Amir Johnson's offensive game is far better.
Is screen and roll. And let me finish in the paint. If I can get someone to set me up in there.
When's Chuck Hayes ever done this?
That's a good point. Chuck Hayes has never done that. But I don't consider either of them major offensive threats.
I would consider Amir Johnson and Patrick Patterson a lot closer. I think Patterson's offensive game is better, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's closer, personally.
Well, I do think, though, that at least having both of them will help Dwayne Casey in setting his defensive mentality, because both of them really will work hard. As for Toronto, lost Rudy Gay, that's a net plus. You lose Aaron Gray, who only plays based on situation. He's a good rebounder, he's a big body, he's pretty smart, but he's not going to play all of your games because sometimes he's just too much of a liability depending on the matchups. And Quincy Acy, as much as people say, oh, he's a promising prospect, he hasn't done enough.
He's a promising bench player, maybe.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Maybe a rotation player somewhere in his career, but losing him is not an issue at all. So for the Raptors overall, I like it. I think they did really, really well. It also gives them pieces they can package off later. So people are saying, oh, well, you know what, the Raptors took a step down in talent. I actually don't think that. I think that they'll play at least at the level, if not see a slight uptick. I think they'll actually improve because of this deal, which might not make people in Toronto happy because there's no tanking for Wiggins after this move.
No, I actually agree. I think, they're losing Rudy Gay, but they're also losing close to 20 shots a game, right? And those shots can be distributed to Valanciunas, who we've seen, is having struggles in other aspects of his game. But in the low post, he's starting to, mature a little bit, get some points there. It's starting to justify some past draft picks like Terrence Ross.
Ross is your man.
He's my man. I've been believing him for years. But, at least he gets shots. He gets to play. And at the same point, it puts DeMar DeRozan as the star wing player. It's his team on the wing. Valanciunas in the post, him on the wing. And sometimes a defining of roles is very important for a player in terms of, him actually getting, he knows, like, this is my place. He doesn't have to defer, and he doesn't question himself because,
And this year he shouldn't have been deferring to Rudy Gay either. I mean, he's a much better player.
He was out playing in most games.
Just about every game, yeah. And statistically, absolutely. The only thing that this is going to cause is tension at that point guard spot now between Lowry and Vasquez. They're both going into free agency. Both of them are going to want minutes, and how that gets handled is going to really determine whether Toronto has success this year or whether it just implodes.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, with Vasquez, anytime you bring in a point guard who has the ability to pass and wants to do that as their first option, it's bringing up your value of your other players, right? So Valanciunas and DeMar DeRozan, even without the additional shots, which they will get, their value goes up because they're going to have better looks. They're going to have, more in transition. Before, it was basically the DeMar DeRozan and Rudy Gay show. It was the ISO show, right? Which really didn't work, right? Like that.
Especially now with Rudy Gay handling the ball so much.
No, exactly, and it wasn't exactly one of his strong points. But we'll leave that to the other team now. But when you look at Toronto, I think this makes them a bit deeper. I think you shouldn't really sleep on John Salmons. I mean, he's not a star, but I think he'll be serviceable enough.
Remember, though, that John Salmons only has a partially guaranteed deal, so they can save a lot of money by waiving him, and I think that's what they'll do. I loved Salmons for a long time, but the last 2 years have been painful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, when you look at all these players that are coming in, I actually think there's a weird part of me that, as soon as they got Vasquez, I thought they were going to trade Lowry like real soon. There's a part of me that kind of thinks that they're just going to let them fight it out for that contract.
Part of me thinks that they can both play in the same backcourt if you move DeRozan to the three.
Because Lowry, when he's on, he's a
scores.
nice guard.
He can score the
He
ball
plays
and
defense,
he can
scores, shoots.
rebounds. He does it all. And so with Vasquez, maybe there are enough shots to go around. And DeMar DeRozan playing the 2 or the 3, I don't think it really matters. I think he can play both of them.
Yeah, I mean, you can play it by committee, and they will have the money. They're going to be something like $19 million under. Like, this is a lot of savings. And I think, an additional bit to this trade is I think it sets up future trades. Because if you want to get rid of other players, a lot of these players who are coming are nice players to a contender. If you're a contender, as you mentioned, Chuck Hayes, Patrick Patterson, John Simons, those are nice additional guys off the bench, maybe quasi-starters. Like a team like the OKC Thunder, I think Patrick Patterson would kind of be nice.
Sure.
Maybe not starting, but playing.
But yeah, and you never know how injuries are going to work out, especially in January and February.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see this for Sacramento? They gave up a lot of players.
They did. I really don't think Quincy Acey or Aaron Gray ever see many minutes.
Oh no, I think Aaron Gray's going to see some minutes behind Boogie.
I only see that with an injury, man. Like I think Thompson, although Thompson could be traded as well.
Thompson's their power forward. Name another one on the roster now.
Yeah, they kind of got rid of everybody, but I mean, when you look at Sacramento, I think they made not mistakes, but I think they regret the kind of black eye they gave to Sacramento with that whole idea of they might have moved to Seattle, and I think they want to appease the fans at a certain point. So I think bringing in a star, yes, he's not a superstar, I'll agree, but bringing in a star who can score is going to give them. I think they were going to lose either way. But it gives them the ability to have something fun to watch as a fan base. And it shows, that, he's going to be in a contract year. Yes, he's making a lot of money, but it's only for one more year. Players usually play well in contract years. Boogie Cousins is going to kind of, jump his game up, assumingly next year. Ben McLemore, again, maybe they'll get a good draft pick. If they can land a top 5 draft pick this year, plus those 3 guys stepping up their game, this could be a fun team to watch.
I agree. I also think that you're right when you talk about management is willing to spend money in Sacramento, and that's going to go a long way to bring the fan base back into that building and to establishing a little bit of trust. And you're right that if Rudy Gay does opt in, next year a $19 million expiring contract is an asset in the NBA.
It is. Although to counterbalance that, I feel that teams are less and less signing these terrible contracts. So, I think 5-6 years ago, it would have had more value than it does this year.
Any team that can take that salary can also net a trade exception. And I agree with you that, they can send back 9 or 10 misspent millions of dollars and also net a trade exception, and that could be big. But you're right, that it makes sense, it builds faith. Do you think the Kings have enough defense?
Have enough defense. So when your starters are... let's list this off. Chances are you got Boogie Cousins at center.
Yeah.
Very little defense there. Thompson at the 4.
Maybe. I'm not convinced that Derek Williams won't start over him.
Fair enough. So even less defense. So Derek Williams. Rudy Gay at the 3.
You really hope he starts.
Yeah, after all you're paying him. That's a lot of scoring in that front court, by the way.
Ton.
And we haven't even gotten to the back court. Ben McLemore.
Scoring.
I feel his defense can improve. I feel he's athletic, long. He can be okay, but he'll never be elite. He'll never be a Lance Stevenson or guys like that. But and then you have Isaiah Thomas at the 1. So yeah, they're kind of Swiss cheese when it comes to defense. I'm not gonna lie. And But are they going to outscore teams? They don't really have that pass-first point guard to push it like the Steve Nash, Phoenix train did. I worry about this team. I think it's going to be a team that's really fun to watch, but they're going to lose a lot of 120 to 114 games.
Ouch. Yeah. But maybe that's what they need to do this year. That's how they can get a draft pick. That's how. And you know what? The more they lose, the less likely Rudy Gay is to opt in.
Yeah, I don't know if they. I guess I don't see him not opting. $20 million almost paycheck,
and he'll never make that in the open market this year.
He's going to be under $10 million.
I think some team might consider him at around 12, just because they got burnt, they didn't get the guy they needed, and they need to have something to show their fan base, which is always the telltale sign of a mistake for a GM. Spend money when you don't get who you want, just to show that you have money to spend. Terrible idea.
Well, the Nets can't do that anymore, so where's the team with a terrible GM who has the Bobcats? That would be interesting. Al Jefferson with Cody Zeller and Rudy Gay.
And you know what? I mean, Ben Gordon's off of his money. It's time to give that to Rudy.
Yeah. Well, all that for another day. So for Sacramento, net win, net loss, or tie?
For Sacramento, did they improve? They resolved a lot of redundancy on their roster. They got in a small forward that can score the ball, and they made some inroads with their fan base. I'd say it's a net win for them.
Okay, I agree on everything you said that way. Actually, I think you know what, they had the money, they were going to lose anyways. I just don't feel that they're worse now or worse in the future, and I feel that they're going to sell some more tickets. So, because they're going to make some more money and make some fans smile, I think it's a win. Now for the Raptors, obviously a little bit different. They're getting in more pieces, and this is kind of speaking towards forward trades. But do you think they're going to lose more games because of this?
I don't. I actually think they're going to win more games because of this. And if the goal was to lose more games, I don't
think he's trying to tank. I just think he's like, listen, if we were in that position to draft a guy like Andrew Wiggins, obviously we're going to take him. But I don't think he's a GM who plays by that, like, let's swing for the fences. I think he's playing by, let's play with what we have and assume the draft doesn't exist and the draft is just icing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the Raptors have a net win in this deal. That gives them a lot of flexibility going forward. They may have 2 or 3 pieces there that they're going to keep around long term. We'll have to see how that works out. I think the Raptors had a really, really good deal. It's hard to say what else they could have had for Rudy Gay. That's difficult. We never know. But realistically, the size of the contract plus the option, he's really going to hamstring teams that were making moves for him.
Yeah.
So, all told, it's a pretty good haul for them. I give them a really high grade.
And I give them the highest grade in hindsight because this is cleaning up after Colangelo. Because
everybody hates Colangelo.
I don't hate him for everything, but listen, would you rather have those 4 guys we've listed or Calderon and Ed Davis?
Calderon and Ed Davis.
Exactly. So you didn't need to do that deal.
No, but Calderon would have been a free agent. You would have had to pay him this offseason.
No, you would have let him go and save the money.
But I'd rather.
You're going to do that to these guys anyways.
I want to have him. I want to have him back. I want Jose back. Look at how well he's doing in Dallas.
He's doing in Dallas, and Dallas is going to have to be a show on its own. Monta Ellis, it's a whole lot of love that way.
Oh, Monta ball.
Anyways, guys, thanks for joining for another episode in the lounge. We've been covering the Toronto Raptors and Sacramento Kings trade. It's been Mike and Phil. We'll catch you next time.
Pleasure.